The Assassin's Creed franchise has a ton of unanswered questions that we may never get to know the answer to, while others may perhaps be resolved in future games. But to be more specific, the series includes an overwhelming and absurd number of games, with different characters, storylines and pieces of lore that start to develop but are suddenly left unresolved, leaving us to wonder what on earth is going on. So what I've done is gathered 7 of these interesting unanswered questions to talk about, questions that many of us have been wondering about but might never find the answers to. Just real quick before I get into it, if you do enjoy this video, do consider hitting that subscribe button if you have not. Also, if you'd like to support me massively and receive some pretty cool benefits such as early access to future videos, shoutouts and a lot more, do consider becoming a member of the Patreon. The link will be down below. With that said, let's get right into 7 unanswered questions in Assassin's Creed. This unanswered question is focused on a phrase that is commonly tossed around throughout the Assassin's Creed games, and also very famously said by the legendary Exile.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.
The phrase, "May the Father of Understanding guide us," is said so many times throughout the series by the Templar Order. But what does this even mean? And most importantly, who on earth is the Father of Understanding? If we look back at the history of the games, the title Father of Understanding seems to come from the time of the ezio, an ancient race that existed before humans. Back then, it was part of a group of titles along with Mother of Wisdom and Sacred Voice. Figures like Yaldabaoth and Jupiter were said to hold this title, suggesting it was given to powerful leaders among the ezio. As the Order of the Ancients eventually became the Templar Order, the title stuck around but seemed to change in meaning. Some think that it was given to important human figures, like Julius Caesar, who was called the Father of Understanding in Assassin's Creed Origins.
So Caesar is the king of the Order now.
Caesar is the Father of Understanding.
In this case, the title might have been used to give someone a sense of divine authority, which lined up with the Templars' goal of bringing order and control to the world. However, others believe that the Father of Understanding is more than just a title for a person. Some say it stands for an idea or a belief, like the Templars' faith in order, knowledge and reason to guide humanity towards their vision of a perfect world. In this sense, the Father of Understanding is not necessarily a real person, but instead a symbol of the values the Templars hold dear. The phrase is also mentioned in Assassin's Creed 2, where it was used by Templars during meetings or before important events.
Gentlemen, tomorrow a new sun rises over Firenze. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.
In Assassin's Creed 3, we see yet another angle. Haytham Kenway often mentions the Father of Understanding.
You are a Templar. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.
Here, the Father seems less like a god, but more like a guiding idea, a symbol of the Templars' goal to bring order to a chaotic world. By the time of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the title is mentioned again, this time by King Alfred of Wessex, who claims that the Father of Understanding is actually the Christian god. This shows how the meaning of the title can change based on who is using it. For Alfred, the Father of Understanding represents a god who stands for order and justice, which is very different from the older pagan beliefs of the Order of the Ancients. In Assassin's Creed Unity, Francois Thomas Germain, who is a sage, talks about the Father of Understanding in his final moments. He treats the Father of Understanding more like a guiding idea, or a force instead of a person.
At the moment I'm bleeding out in the floor of the temple. But it seems the Father of Understanding has seen fit to give us this time to talk.
Even in the modern day parts of the game, the phrase is still used.
The Father of Understanding guided you to us, and for that we are grateful. The test of your true worth begins now.
But it's clear that not even the Templars fully understand where it comes from, whether it refers to an ancient ezio, a powerful human leader, or just an abstract idea. The Father of Understanding remains a mysterious, unanswered part of the Assassin's Creed lore. Well, there is one person that knows the true meaning, and that's Darby McBloody Devitt. To me, one of the most glaring unanswered questions in the Assassin's Creed games is what Kassandra got up to for over 2,400 years. So, if you don't know, the end of the modern day in Assassin's Creed Odyssey sees Kassandra hand over the Staff of Hermes, which grants eternal life to Layla, which at that point was in the year 2018. So Kassandra has been active for over 2,400 years, and there is really only a few things that we know she got up to. This gives us the question, what on earth did she do all that time? First, let's go over what she did do, and then go over some potential theories and ideas, because because what we do know is that Kassandra witnessed the rise and fall of empires, visiting places like Alexandria, where she left Herodotus' manuscript in the Great Library to ensure his stories would live on. She also crossed paths with extraordinary people, such as the Chinese warrior Wei Yu, who she aided, which fun fact is what we'll get to see in Assassin's Creed Jade, which if you don't know is the mobile game, that as of right now has no release date. Also, another thing that we know she got up to was sometime between the 1st century BCE and the 9th century BCE. She aided the Hidden Ones, who shared her desire to protect freedom from the grip of the Order of the Ancients. Around the year 887, Kassandra encountered Eivor and retrieved an apple of Eden that plunged an island into chaos. Both Kassandra and Eivor confronted the nightmares caused by the artifact, dispelling the fog that clouded the island and its people's minds. And that is quite literally the last we know of what Kassandra did up until 2018, which spans over 2,400 years, which is just insane to think about. Did Kassandra view the world as her playground, wandering from one adventure to the next like an eternal tourist? It is easy to imagine her traveling to different lands, interacting with countless cultures, and perhaps even influencing historical events in very subtle ways that we might not be aware of. After all, she did have centuries to explore, learn, and of course fight. One possible theory is that Kassandra spent much of her time seeking out ezio artifacts. We know from Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla's crossover that she continues this pursuit well into the modern era, tracking down these dangerous objects to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. It is possible that Kassandra dedicated herself to this task, traveling across continents and centuries seeking out these relics. Now at first, this idea might seem a bit silly, considering there would have been countless pieces of Eden, but given that she was quite literally immortal, it's not like she had no time. However, with her immortality, she likely had to avoid drawing too much attention to herself. Staying in one place for too long would have raised suspicions about her never-aging ability. Just imagine her living for centuries, witnessing entire generations come and go, and having to move on constantly to protect a secret. You know, if anything, she probably became so good at blending in and adopting new identities. Who knows, maybe she could have interacted with beloved characters like Ezio, Edward, Arno and so on. It's not like that's far-fetched to even say, considering she was most likely aware of everything assassin related. So yeah, this is an unanswered question that maybe we'll get to explore in the future, or maybe not. The General of the Cross is one of the biggest unanswered questions in the Assassin's Creed series. I talked about it in my Assassin's Creed Iceberg video that I made over a year ago, but it is still so vague. This title refers to the highest ranking person within the modern day Templar Order, who we know as Abstergo. The General oversees the decisions made by a group called the Guardians, and has the final say on whether those decisions should be carried out. But here's the mystery, no one knows who the General of the Cross actually is. The position of the General of the Cross was created sometime between the 20th century and the 21st centuries, but we don't know exactly when. I've seen some people believe it was established after World War II, around the time when Abstergo Industries, the company owned by the Templars, became so powerful and connected all the Templar branches worldwide. The General's role is so secretive that even the highest ranking Templars like the Inner Sanctum don't know the General's identity, only the three Guardians do. Now the Guardians are responsible for reviewing the major decisions made by the Inner Sanctum before passing them on to the General of the Cross for final approval. They hold more authority than the Grand Masters and answer only to the General of the Cross. As of right now, there are 3 known Guardians, and in 2014, Alan Rickin, a well-known Templar, held one of these seats until his death in 2016. Now there are many theories about who could be the General of the Cross. Some people think it might have been Henry Ford, one of the founders of Abstergo Industries, due to his influence during the formation of the Templars' modern structure. However, there is no concrete proof to support this idea, and other candidates like Franklin D. Roosevelt or Joseph Stalin have been ruled out. At this point, the most likely answer is that the General of the Cross is a character we have not met yet, which, if you don't know, is the future of the modern day side of Assassin's Creed. We could get introduced to the General of the Cross. I'll keep this specific unanswered question quite short, and that is how many more pieces of Eden are still out there undiscovered. These powerful artifacts created by the ancient ezio civilization come in many forms, like apples of Eden, staffs, swords and more. They were designed to control human thoughts, emotions and even reality itself, making them incredibly valuable and dangerous. Throughout the series, we've seen so many different pieces of Eden, but there is just no clear answer on how many exist in total. Some estimates suggest that there could be dozens or even hundreds. For example, there are at least 12 known apples of Eden, several known swords of Eden, a few staffs of Eden, and various other types, like rings and shrouds of Eden. Some of the most famous figures in history like Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Gandhi and so on were said to have used these artifacts. The exact number is hard to pin down, because the definition of a piece of Eden can be so broad. You might argue that any technology made by the EC could be considered a piece of Eden. This would feature not just well-known apples or swords, but also lesser-known items like the crystal skulls, which allow long-distance communication, or the rings of Eden, which have their own special abilities. If we include all of these, the number of pieces of Eden could be far higher than we currently know. So in short, we don't know exactly how many pieces of Eden exist. The number seems to change as new stories are told, and as the Assassins and Templars continue their fight to find and control these powerful artifacts, we might see even more of them in the future. Elijah Miles is the son of Desmond Miles, and he remains one of the most intriguing but underused characters in the Assassin's Creed series. As the child of Desmond, and also him being a sage, aka a reincarnation of the ezio, Elijah Miles has a unique blend of powerful DNA that makes him an interesting character with so much potential, yet his fate remains a mystery. In fact, he's never shown in any of the games. However, the last time we saw Elijah was in the comics, where he watched the instruments of the First Wiz lab burn from a distance in the Australian desert. At first, he was around 12 or 13 years old, and it has been several years since then. As of right now, he would be 18 or 19. After escaping, Elijah has been on the run, staying away from both the Assassins and the Templars. Both groups certainly believe he is dead, and he seems wise enough to keep it that way. You see, unlike many other sages who often struggle with Aita's memories and tend to go mad, Elijah has managed to control his inheritance from a young age. He even possesses the Koh-i-Nur, which is, in my opinion, the most powerful piece of Eden in Assassin's Creed lore, hands down. I say this because of its many unique abilities, such as the power to locate and combine every other piece of Eden. This artifact alone makes him incredibly dangerous and powerful, but what he plans to do with it remains unknown. Despite his interesting background, Elijah Miles has not been mentioned in any recent Assassin's Creed games, so this just leaves a big unanswered question for us. With his unique abilities, the powerful artifact, and a strong connection to Desmond, Elijah could be pretty important in future storylines, especially if the series continues to explore the modern day conflict between the Assassins and Templars. Similar to Elijah Miles, this unanswered question is related to a character that we've seen only in 2 games and then disappeared off the face of this planet, and that character is named Bishop. She was introduced in Assassin's Creed Unity and continued her role into Assassin's Creed Syndicate. She very quickly became a mysterious individual in the series. Bishop was responsible for managing the assassin initiates, guiding them to historical memories to gather vital information. Her identity remains a secret throughout, with only a few clues about her background. All we do know is that she enjoyed video games and seemed to have a close connection with Rebecca Crane, but that's about it. To us, the player, Bishop was a handler, a guide, and a voice that helped us navigate the game, but beyond her role, we know almost nothing about her. After her appearances in Assassin's Creed Unity and Syndicate, Bishop disappeared from the series, leaving so many unanswered questions. She has not been seen in any game since then, and there are no major mentions of her in the comics or novels. It feels like her character was just dropped without any explanation. Maybe this could be a case of a deeper plan in place for her, or maybe she was dropped entirely. So what happened to Bishop? Why did she vanish from the series? Well, one idea that I can come up with is that she was simply written out due to a shift in the direction of the modern day storylines in Assassin's Creed. The games have increasingly focused on new characters like Layla and Basim, leaving older characters like Bishop in the past. Another idea suggests that Bishop might still be active in the shadows, working on secret missions that haven't been revealed to us yet. Maybe Ubisoft plan to bring her back in a future game or a DLC, maybe Assassin's Creed Infinity, especially if they decide to revisit the Initiate storyline. But what do you think happened to Bishop? Do you think we'll see her again, or is she gone for good? For this last one, it's more so an unanswered question simply because it has not happened yet, and it will happen. But for now, let's still go with the idea that this is an unanswered question, and that is, what's going on with Basim? I say this because, well, to put things very briefly, at the end of Valhalla, Basim is restored to the modern day, replacing Layla as the main character in the present day. This move hinted that Basim might play a major role in future games, potentially even as a protagonist. However, Ubisoft's somewhat recent announcement about removing modern day elements from future titles has caused some concern. In Assassin's Creed Mirage, we play as William Mars reliving the memories of Basim. We know this because of the secret cutscene at the end of Valhalla, where it's hinted that William asked for a favor from Basim, and that favor is to give him some of his DNA. So when we play Assassin's Creed Mirage, we're playing as William Mars in the Animus reliving Basim's early days. So in the meantime, we are left with many questions. Will Basim continue his story to find his lost family? Will he take on a larger role in the modern day narrative? Only time will tell, but for now, all we can do is wait eagerly anticipating what's next for the modern day Basim. And there we have it. Those are 7 unanswered questions in Assassin's Creed. Of course, there are plenty more unanswered questions in this franchise, but these 7 are the ones I've chosen because to me, they seem like the ones that need an answer the most. If you have any unanswered questions yourself about the series, leave it down in the comments below. And word to Exile, let's get a discussion going. Shout out to my Patreon members whose names are on screen. If you want to support me and get some cool benefits, do consider becoming a member of my Patreon. The link to it is down below. Anyway, with that said, I'll see you in the next one.